Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Ellen Barrett, and we have a great show ahead for you today. And we're starting off talking about candles. And I'm joined today by my friend Lachelle with Carner Blue Candle and Supply. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, Ellen. Thanks for having me.
And this just smells lovely, and I mean it looks lovely too. You may be able to see this in the camera. This is actually not just a vase of flowers. These are candles. They're like candle flowers, and they smell great too.
Exactly.
So I just want to start off first of all. How did you get started at candle making?
Well, of course, it's every person's dream to be a candle maker. But I was actually going into environmental law, and I had a ton of coursework, and I burned myself out going into the natural sciences and chemistry and everything else. And by the time I got done, and I'm like, life is passing me by.
Right.
This is too much. I can still put this degree to use doing something else and still affecting change, but doing something that is more enjoyable and that makes me happy. And so I started playing with wax, and I had a lot of really bad fails, because the best way to learn is by failing.
It is.
And yeah, I walked into an old shed and with a guy there, and he started throwing things at me, and I went home and I just made a huge mess. And this was like, 20, 30 years ago.
And here you are today.
Yeah.
Tell the tale.
Yeah, my friends they gave me a look like, you're going to do what?
Right.
So yeah.
But I know your candles are really different than other things you might find in the market, and it does have to do with your background.
It does. I mean, we do everything scientifically, or as scientifically as you can with candles, but we do multiple tests, we replicate our results, all that kind of good stuff. We make sure we have the absolute best quality ingredients in it, not just what you think it should be. I've actually really dug in and done the research, looking at all of the different elements and seeing what gives you the healthiest burn.
Absolutely, and I know it's really linked to the environment too, having to do with those ingredients. And if you think about it, you're burning something in your home.
Right, exactly. And when I got into this, I was all, yay, let's do, essential oils, but they don't really work in candles, and I could get into all that why. And so, like I said, I did the research, and it's, to make sure that things burn the cleanest, and you don't get all that gunk in your hair and your lungs and in your vents. That's what we've done. We've made sure that the junk's not in there. You're going to feel better. They don't have phthalates in them. They don't have extra solvents. I say that over and over and over again, and people are like, okay, what is that?
Right.
But it really just means you don't get the headaches and the bronchial issues that you do with some candles.
Which is, I'm guessing, really important, and something that I mean, when I buy a candle, I buy it because it smells good, and oftentimes I'm not thinking about the ingredients and what I'm actually burning. But I probably should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. You got that, everyone? You should be thinking about that. And it's nice because then you're kind of taking the guesswork out of it for everyone, because I'm not necessarily going to pick up an ingredients list on a candle and really know what to look for.
And you can't. So that's the other thing, either because of trademarking secrets, unless it's something that directly is known to cause cancer, you're not going to see it on the list. And there's a lot of different things that you can, like an essential oil candle might only be, 51% essential. Like, there's just so much to it. And I've cut through that junk, and it's just like, you know what, this is just the real healthy stuff. So.
And that's really nice, because I would assume that just because it includes essential oils that it would be healthier or smell nice or great. So, which isn't necessarily true, so that's important. And you guys sell some other stuff too other than candles?
We do. We sell a lot of other things. I mean, a lot of candle things, but we have handmade potteries, we have jewelry, beautiful jewelry. We have, just so much stuff. Like, every little nook and cranny is filled with something cute. I mean, we even have this adorable little fairy garden stuff.
Oh, cute.
All handmade. We try to keep handmade, U.S. made, quality. Everything in our store, we try to have that mark of quality on. So.
Now, just out of curiosity, too, just being a candle maker, how do you keep coming up with scents?
Well, I draw on my past. So once upon a time, I used to have a life. And so
before you were a business owner and a parent?
Before I had kids. And so I used to do all these wonderful things. When I was getting my degrees in the sciences, it involved a lot of going out into nature and a lot of beautiful things happening. And actually, just last night, playing Pokemon Go with my daughter, we came across this beautiful setting, and it was all coming down, and it looked like fairyland. And it's just like, and my daughter was like awestruck. And it's just like, and the smell that came up from the water and the plants, and we're like, ooh, we should maybe do something with that. So that might be something we work on together.
How incredible, just drawing upon all of your experiences and nature around you.
Yeah.
With great ingredients, too.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Lachelle.
Thank you.
And you can find them at 1915 Monroe Street.
Great, thanks
Karner
so
Blue
much.
Candle and Supply. Thank you so much. And Talk of the Town will be back with more right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town, and I'm joined now by Sarah and Nick of Dennys Jewelers. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Elena.
And so first I wanted to start off with, how did Dennys Jewelers start?
Well, our parents, Pete and Bev Dennys, started Dennys Jewelers back in April 15th, 1983.
Wow.
When I was 6 months old. So
Oh, very cool. And here you are today as part of the business as grown-up and adults. Very cool. So it's a family business, it sounds like.
It is. Our parents started it, and we're slowly working on continuing it.
Now, where are you guys located?
We are located in downtown Middleton,
Okay.
where University Avenue and the Beltline meet across University from the Middleton Fire Department.
Very cool. So that's where you can find them if you want to check them out. And I think it's just really cool that, you know, it is kind of a family, and starting with your parents and now carrying that on. And so I'm sure the service that you guys offer is probably different, you know, than if you go into a chain store or something like that. So what can people expect when they come to Dennys Jewelers?
Personal touch. We like to treat everybody like they're our friends and family.
Personal touch and family and yep.
Service is definitely a big part of it. We pride ourselves on very high quality service. I mean, we'll typically look at jewelry a couple times, sometimes even not send it back, but have the goldsmith look at it and redo something if we're not happy with it.
Sure. And obviously, like you said, a big part is the bling. You got to have the bling. And I don't know if you can see this through the camera here, but Sarah is just like lighting up our studios back here at Channel 57. If you can see all that shimmer, it is just fabulous. And kind of going off of that, of what you guys offer and how that's different, why do people recommend Dennys?
Again, it's the personal service that we offer. Our selection is amazing. We have at least 8 cases full of bridal, diamonds, diamond engagement ring selection. So again, if we really believe, like, if you can dream it, we can make it happen.
We really don't like to say no.
That's good, right?
It's very hard for us to say that. It's impossible to stock everything. So like Sarah said, we try to have a lot of jewelry in the store, selection-wise, but we've built it on special ordering and custom making. And so if we don't have it, we can find it. If we can't find it, we can make it.
Very cool. And, you know, being a family business and with your parents starting it, and you see a lot of family businesses, you know, when it comes to pass it on to the kids, you know, maybe the kids are interested in carrying on that business and sometimes they're not. And so obviously both of you are a part of the business, which is really cool. And it's probably not something you see too often. And why do you guys do what you do? Why do you love this business?
When it comes to the time in your life when you fall in love with somebody and you know, you're choosing something that you're representing your love for each other forever, you know, we get to be a part of all those special occasions in life, engagement rings, wedding bands. It's so neat to see first, second, and third generations now. You know, we get to see people come back and get a baby a gift or a grandchild for graduation. So it's really being a part of those special occasions. It's pretty awesome.
Very cool.
All jewelry is very emotional. There's some emotional tie to jewelry, so we get to help make that part of somebody else's life.
Wow, I love that. And that is so true. You know, you probably get to see a lot of really special moments, and most of the people I'm sure coming in are really excited to celebrate a milestone or an event that's happening. Yeah. Very cool. Now, since your parents had the business and now you guys have kind of stepped on board as well, has there been changes for Dennys Jewelers, or is a lot of it remaining the same?
I would say most of it's remaining the same. We're just continuing to grow individually and as a family, which helps the business grow, you know, as well, to help cater to anybody that to celebrate whatever they may need to celebrate.
Our parents are very much still involved, so
Very
it's
cool.
Really, the whole family,
Yeah,
we're there. There's always a Denny there for sure.
Awesome. And always the same great service people have known to come and expect. Wonderful.
Exactly.
So Sarah and Nick, thank you so much for being here today with Dennys Jewelers. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ellen, for having
Thank
us
you,
here.
Ellen.
And Talk of the Town will be back with more right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. I'm joined now by one of our news partners, Medicine Shop Pharmacy Monona, and a familiar face here, Eric with the Medicine Shop. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me back.
And today we're talking about medication therapy management. So I guess to start off, what is this all about?
Yeah. So the title kind of gives it away.
Yeah.
But pharmacy these days is really going towards away from just a dispensing role and more of an advisory role. And doing more things than just simply filling a prescription and
Yeah.
asking if you have any questions going out the door. They're really taking more of a therapeutic approach.
Okay.
I mean, when I went to school, there was a big push for that. To make sure that people understand their medications, know that you're as a pharmacist, you're a part of the healthcare team, similar to the way the doctors are. You're the medication experts, and you really have a valuable place within the healthcare system. And so medication therapy management is along those lines. What it does is it sits down with patients, goes over their medications, talks to them in very specific terms about what side effects they're having, how they're taking their medications, and maybe suggesting some changes in dosing times or different medications, or getting rid of duplicated medications if they're taking more than one medication
Sure.
for the same thing. So it's a little bit more specific, targeted approach to people's medications to sit down and go through that with the patients.
Now, who qualifies for these services?
Yeah, really anybody, and the major groups that are pushing this, though, are the Medicare patients. A lot of Medicare Part D, which is the drug portion of Medicare, have plans in place, or I should say programs in place as a part of their plan to have these services done at no charge to them.
Okay.
It was actually mandated when they made the Medicare changes to put in the Part D plans that these companies, these insurance companies, actually have these programs available, because every study they've ever done that has looked at that kind of stuff has seen that it reduces the healthcare costs across the board
Wow.
by actually having the pharmacist that involved and getting rid of any medication issues that are leading to further health issues.
Sure. So I know you kind of touched on this too, but why and how would patients benefit from this service?
Yeah. Yep. So a couple of things, and yeah, I did mention it before, but it's things like maybe you have two medications that you're taking for
Yeah.
the same thing that aren't really necessary. It's also, you might be taking a medication to treat a side effect of another medication, and maybe the best thing to do is just maybe change out that medication that's causing the side effect rather than having two medications. It's also, is there anything missing? A lot of times, there's a standard of therapy for different disease states, and what's best is to make sure you're on the recommended things. So those types of things are great to catch in those targeted interviews in those management sessions.
And I know you touched on this too, but is there a cost for anyone who wants to use this service?
It's always best to check with the insurance
Yeah.
company and check with your pharmacist, because there are possibly some out there, depending on if you're in your deductible phase, meaning you're paying out of pocket. If you do it early on in the year and you're meeting that deductible, that may cost the patient something out of pocket. But for most insurance companies, it's not going to cost the patient anything.
Now, how are pharmacies paid for this program?
Sure. So again, in the Medicare program, the
Yeah.
insurance companies are required to have it. And so the insurance companies pay us directly.
Sure.
And that's the way, honestly, most times it happens, is the insurance company, because of the benefit of them maybe not getting rehospitalized or saving money on other medications and things like that, they save money on that, so they're willing to pay for that service directly to the pharmacy because of those benefits to them.
Now, do all pharmacies provide this service?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Again, it's be something that you would check with your pharmacy. Sometimes they will contract out to people over the phone that will conduct those interviews over the phone and things like that, so it's best to check with the pharmacy.
Now, Eric, where can people go for more information if they want to learn more about this program?
Again, I always advocate talk to your pharmacist.
Yeah.
You know, we're there to help. We're there to have that conversation with you. We can definitely go through, you know, the different options that are possibly on the table for you. Maybe even some opportunity for follow-up and things like that. So at the medicine shop, we're more than happy to sit down and talk with you about that. If you don't have that relationship, you know, we still encourage you to come in and talk to us about that kind of thing. Because there's a lot of times, even if you're not a patient of ours, if we have all the information in front of us, we can still conduct those therapy sessions. So
Wonderful. Always great information, Eric. Thank you so much for being here today.
thanks for having me.
And be sure to stop by the Medicine Shop Pharmacy in Monona if you do have any questions. And they're located at 4205 Monona Drive. Thanks for watching Talk of the Town. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. I'm joined now by our news partner moving forward, and with me today, a familiar face, Marianne Garidi, and she's the owner. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And so obviously we have some props out today too, and so
Exactly.
we'll get to that a little bit later. Kind of got some interesting ideas having to do with these different items that you'll see here. But first off, for people who are just tuning in, maybe this is totally new for them, what is a senior move manager and what are you guys really all about?
Sure, absolutely. So a senior move manager is basically, we're part of an organization called National Association of Senior Move Managers. And what we do is we focus on older adults who are getting ready to move from a home they've been living in maybe 40 or 50 years, and they're ready to downsize to a smaller apartment, an independent living or an assisted living. We work with the Jefferson on Old Sauk Road a lot. And so we help people move from their house then into a smaller apartment. And we just help make that transition as smooth as possible.
And that's really, I think, important because that can be a really stressful time for not only the person who's moving, but the family as well. So to have somebody kind of be that third party and help that transition, excuse me, that's a tongue twister there, transition is really important and a really nice step. And so I know you kind of mentioned overall what you guys do, and so what are some of the different areas you focus on when you're moving clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is, when we meet with our client, we kind of get a sense for, their favorite items and what they want to bring with them, and we kind of help identify the items and we tag them, and we do floor layouts to make sure the furniture they want to bring will fit nicely into their new space. And then really we go through and we pack all the items that are going, and then the items that remain, we help them sell or donate all the items that are there. And after we then move our clients and get them settled into their new space, we go back to the house and help to get the house ready to be sold. So we do like a complete clean out. We'll help, again, continue selling items. We bring in a landscaper if we need to, a painter if we need to. So we have all these little avenues that we focus on in order to get the house, ready to sell, because that kind of gives them some closure to make sure, everything is in line to where they want it to be.
That's very true, very nice. And I wanted to talk specifically too about closets.
Yes.
Because sometimes, I know in my personal closet, it is just like a danger zone of where, things maybe I'm not sure what to do with, or I want to keep, or I just don't want to think about it right now, and I shove everything into my closet, into boxes, into the top, into the bottom, every little corner I can squeeze something. So what do you find with working with people in closets in particular?
Yes, and it's really an interesting an area of folks' houses when we're working with them, because first of all, people, when I come in to meet with them, they're typically embarrassed about something or other, and so before they open the closet door, they'll say like, it's probably going to be the worst closet you've ever seen. And so we open it up, and typically it's like everyone else's closet, because we all kind of follow the same pattern. And what happens is we have these items that we have memories associated with them. So I brought some items just to kind of show what I run into when I'm talking through the closet area of the home.
Perfect. Let's touch on those.
Okay,
We've
sure.
got a lot of different stuff going on.
Yes. So some of the items I found, so today I brought a blanket, which, lots of times when I'm meeting with a client, we'll look in the closet and they'll have a stack of maybe 5 blankets. And, I'll ask them, okay, so, do you like these blankets? Do you use these blankets? And the answer will be something like, no, they were my mother's or my grandmother's. I don't use them. They're not soft. They're just not my style, but I don't want to get rid of them. And so then we kind of help people through knowing that it's okay, it's just an item, and if you're really not using it on a daily basis, then sometimes it's better to find a new home for it. And we just try to let people, we discuss the fact that although you have it and it brings some special memories, when you look at it, every time you look at it and you think, boy, maybe somebody could use that item, it almost puts a negative twist on it. So you actually become a little bit, it's a more comfortable feeling when you can actually present somebody else with the item who can then put it to good use. So we try to help people through that step so that they don't feel like they have to keep an item just because somebody gave it to them or just because, you know, it had some special meaning to them. So we try to help them through those steps.
I really like that.
Yeah, and then from there, then other things, with this one I brought like a Boy Scout uniform that somebody would have in their closet. And when they look at the uniform, they think of their child perhaps and the memories associated with that. But clearly the child probably doesn't want it. And every time you look at it, you kind of think, gosh, what am I going to do with it? It just sits here. And you look at it and it almost, again, it creates a negative feel. Whereas if you find somebody who can use it, somebody who's interested in scouting, that you could actually give it to, it helps with that closure. And then you can move it out of your closet. And then every time you look at it, you know, then you look at it one last time maybe and you know that somebody else can use it.
Sure.
So it's trying to put a positive spin on things. Other items that I brought with me today. So I brought a squash racket.
Sure.
So sometimes what happens is people are into different sports along the way, and then they'll keep an item related to that in hopes that maybe they'll do it again. So every time you look at that item, you're like, oh man, maybe I'll use it again, but it just sits there. So it's that closure again, just trying to move items out so it doesn't create a negative feeling every time you look at it. So if you haven't used it in 10 years, the chances are maybe you're not going to use it. So again, helping them through that.
I love that, and I love that message, and that's really nice that you guys can kind of help with that move, but I think it's a lesson we all can learn from, and I know I can apply too.
Sure,
so thank you so much for being here again today.
Thank you.
With Moving Forward. Thank you for watching Talk of the Town, and you can find us next time only on Channel 57.